What's going on? It's your boy Bowie up in here. And I want to talk about how my side bias is really splintering the MK community. Okay. This is related to a video I made about a year ago about how I believe NRS needs to start making Mortal Kombat a legacy title rather than what it's doing now, which is completely overhauling the meta of each game, adding a whole bunch of new mechanics that radically transform each game into something completely different than its predecessors. I said that this practice has the effect of splitting the community into people that into factions really that prefer one game over another at all costs. And I think some of you might see where the my side bias is going to come in. But just in case you don't know what that is, let's get academic in this motherfucker and define that shit first, you dig? So we're back. And I just want y'all to see exactly what my side bias actually is defined as. So my side bias is the tendency for people to evaluate evidence, generate evidence, and test hypotheses in a manner that is biased towards their own opinions. We got another source over here. Pretty much says the exact same thing. The only difference is it also includes an attitude. So when people evaluate evidence, generate evidence, and test hypotheses in a manner biased towards their own prior opinions and attitudes. How does that figure into Mortal Kombat? See, as I said, the game, because of NRS's tendency to radically reinvent Mortal Kombat with each new iteration, which happens literally from game to game now, the MK community has now splintered into factions. There's the MK9 faction, the MKX faction. Now, somehow, miraculously, there's an MK11 faction, which I thought I'd never see. And once MK2 comes out, or whatever MK13 is called, there will be the creation of the MK1 faction. Though I do see the beginnings of that faction forming now. So you have people who are biased towards one MK game. And because they are biased towards that game, they're going to generate evidence, evaluate evidence in such a way to elevate that game at the expense of all the other games, even at the expense of overwhelming evidence to the contrary, you know. And what evidence are they generating? They are generating evidence that the games are good or that the games are bad, right? And of course, the nebulous concept of what makes a game quote unquote good or quote unquote bad, it varies from person to person. There's different aspects as to what makes something good or not good. And not only do people not agree on the aspects, they don't even agree on the ratings of said aspects. You dig what I'm saying? And so it makes this a very, very difficult thing to do and to pin down. But let me see if I can paint the picture for you. So I have this video here. It's not my video. It's from Big Slime Carlos. And the title of it is MK11 was actually good. And it says, in this video, we will go over how Mortal Kombat 11 was actually a good game in spite of all the hate for the game. In all caps. Okay? Now, let me say this up front. This is not a reaction to that video. I'm not going to watch it. I watched some of it already, and I've commented on it several times. I don't even fundamentally disagree with the attitude of Big Slime Carlos and what he's trying to say. And I think, he genuinely likes MK1 and he wants people to stop the hatred, much like I like MK1 and want people to stop the hatred of MK1. However, the commenters in these comment sections are exhibiting a shit ton of my side bias. Okay? And look, I'm gonna be for real. I'm not gonna sit here and proclaim that I don't have my side bias. I will admit this up front. I am biased towards MK9. I think that game is the game that all Mortal Kombats henceforth should be patterned after. MK9 should be the foundational basis upon which every game is created, and the closer a game is to MK9, the more I tend to favor it. I'm not going to front about that. But you see how I'm able to be intellectually honest about that? A lot of people are not able to do that. Now, here's where objectivity comes into play. I know that I favor Mortal Kombat 9, but I'm not going to favor Mortal Kombat 9 in a sycophantic way. I'm going to favor MK9 in a way that is intellectually honest about the totality of that game. So here it goes. MK9 was very fun. It represented a rebirth of the series. It had all the fan service in the world, down to the music, the characters, the roster, the costumes, the meta, the everything. It felt like an MK game. It introduced new mechanics. It went back to the 2D system. It had a full-fledged practice mode, a full story mode, which was the second of its kind, and had to be replicated by not only every other MK game, but every other fighting game thereafter. It had a lot of great offline content. I really, really like the computers in the arcade mode of MK9 because they didn't read inputs and react to impossible things. And the character tower was very, very fun. The 300 tower, that is. That game is forever burned in my brain as a paragon, Having said all of that, the game was riddled with bugs and glitches. The original Player 1 advantage, which is completely distinct from the Player 1 advantage that used to exist in MK1. You had the meter drain glitch. You had variable frame rate or frame data on particular moves on block and or hit. Character balance was an absolute nightmare. If your character was low tier, they sucked. They were bad characters that shouldn't really have been played and were only played by people that were masochists and wanted to torture themselves. You dig what I'm saying? Like if you were a Kano player in Mortal Kombat 9, I feel bad for you, son. You got 99 problems and being good ain't one. You dig what I'm saying? So low tier characters actually were bad. The character balance was terribly imbalanced. There were 8-2 matches. There were 9-1 matches. There were 7-3s all over the place. Okay. Characters had horrible frame data. Some characters were negative on hit with their pokes. Some characters had 7 frame jabs. Other characters had 20 frame jabs. There were characters who when they hit with a string, certain parts of the string didn't connect at particular distances or at all. The games online was horrible because it was delayed based netcode and it was atrocious. It's worse than what you remember. Okay? And people used to cheat and cheese like a motherfucker on that shit. Even the very worst netcode in MK1 pales in comparison to how bad the average connection in MK9 was. It's bad, man. It's real bad. And now that the servers are shut down, all you can do in MK9 is play against people next to you or play against the computers. But you see how I'm able to accurately and vociferously list both the pros and cons of a game that I favor? So many people can't do that. So let's look at these comments here. So this comment from Ashta Shasta, I guess. Ash Shasta? I don't know. Most fighting games are whiny people, like most gamers. MK11 in its last year had 3 times as many players as MKX just months after its release, which is normal. MKX was rushed down, no neutral, 50-50s constantly, so when 11 starts punishing players for rush down, except Jackie, and slowing the game down, because of more, in my opinion, too many defensive options, they get upset and refuse to adapt. I think MK1 has found a good balance between the two, they just need to flesh out the rest of the game. I enjoyed all 3 of the last MKs for different reasons. I'm glad NRS isn't really afraid to flip the board and try some pretty big new things relative to other fighting games that literally added 1-button combos like Dragon Ball Fighters or Street Fighter Modern controls to make the game easier for newbies, but not actually change the end game's mechanics much, if at all. So this comment in itself actually is pretty nuanced. He acknowledged that there are some issues with MK11, but he likes the game anyway because it was not MKX. I was actually inclined to agree with this comment right here. But notice what he does here. He says that the fighting game fans are whiny people. So anyone whining about the game is automatically just a whiny person and is illegitimate. Now, then I read here, and that is what I believe one of the biggest issues really was, a refusal to adapt. It seems like a lot of players were just stuck on MKX's mechanics and were irritated that they couldn't do that stuff anymore. But I feel like regardless of the mechanics, a good player adapts and continues to kick ass. If you're consistently getting killed by newer players because of scrubby mechanics, you aren't as good as you think you are. Now, let's analyze that. I'm seeing some my side bias here. Some unchecked my side bias. Now, he is on the side of MK11. MK11 is a good game. I don't give a fuck what nobody says. That's sort of the stance that he seems to be espousing here. And he put MK11 against MKX the same kind of way that I've kind of done in many videos, right? But he goes a bit further. He says that because people couldn't do in MK11 what they did in MKX, that is why, and they couldn't adapt to it, that is why they have grievances. Let's think about this for a second. Now, I saw a lot of comments about MK11 and MKX. There were casuals that missed the MKX mechanics. And they were mad that they were gone. They liked being able to run and do lots of combos. MK11 was the polar opposite of that, right? So you did have people that disliked MK11 because it was not MKX. You also had the other way around, people that loved MK11 because it was not MKX. Okay? Now, this is when I come into play. I say this is not entirely accurate at all. I could not stand the mechanics of MKX and was more than happy to see them go away in MK11. Plus, I was ecstatic to see that MK11 favored a more neutral-centered meta where walking, anti-airs, and solid fundamentals were rewarded. But then I learned that half the cast had a near full-screen unreactable armored move that stopped all neutral play once the losing player got to 30% health. And if I successfully read the move was coming and either avoided it, blocked it, or punished it, the threat of said move didn't go away because the opponent could attempt it again after it missed the first time. The fatal blow mechanic affected every round of every match in the game unless both players squandered it in the first round. Afterwards, I learned that I could successfully knock the opponent down in the corner and either deal with A, getting hit with a full combo and placing myself in the corner because I pressed the advantage that I gained from knocking the opponent down, or B, hesitating to attack the opponent because of scenario A and watching the opponent either jump out of the corner or hit me because media attacks were about as common sense in MK11. I didn't even mention how I could get full comboed for hitting the opponent with an optimal combo because of MK11's breakaway system. Though there are almost certainly people who disliked MK11 because it wasn't a replica of MKX, there are far more people who disliked MK11 because of its uniquely perverse mechanics. Those two groups of people ought not be conflated. Now, notice what I'm doing here. I'm pushing back. Not even against his side, because I'm kind of on his side in terms of preferring MK11 to MKX. But the problem with my side bias is that you're producing evidence in a non-neutral way or non-objective way. You're producing evidence that elevates your side, and all the evidence elevates your side. I try to explain I'm on your side, but MK11 was flawed, bro. It was flawed as a motherfucker, is what I said. So let's not mix me in with the people you talking about, because there's many, many, many more people like me who tried really to like MK11 because they realized that you were right about MKX, but we were struggling too. Then notice what he's doing here. He's still using, he said, I'm using a previous MK game as a reference. No, I'm not. I didn't mention a goddamn thing about a previous MK game. Did I? Let me see. All I mentioned MKX and MK11 only. I ain't talk about MK9. I ain't talk about MK2. I didn't talk about MK Deception. So he's just making that shit up. You are still using a previous MK game as a reference. Not really. I didn't even mention that you couldn't do any of the stuff in MKX. I didn't mention that at all. So he's just making that up. So notice what he did. He generated evidence that didn't even exist in order to elevate MK11. Therefore, your dislike is still based in part on pining for past mechanics that you find more agreeable. Wait a minute. I didn't pine for any mechanics. I didn't advocate for any mechanics at all. I didn't say bring back Breaker. I didn't say give me armored wake-ups. I ain't say nothing like that. I said that MK11's mechanics are perverse. So he's thinking that I'm operating from a different side. Basically accusing me of my side bias. As I told y'all, I'm biased towards MK9, but I didn't even mention it here. Right? Then, notice what he's doing here. Notice what he's doing here. This right here This is generating the evidence in favor of MK11. MK11 meant more mind games, blah, 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 blah. Y'all can read. I already read to you a little bit before. I don't need to read again. And then I did my shit. So, dude said, I have no problem with people disliking mechanics, but I felt that way too many people used that as an excuse for losing. So then I go in and I write a goddamn essay. You know what I'm saying? Even though I'm a math person, you know. And y'all can read. You can read. You can pause and read if you wish. But I only want to illustrate one thing. This my side bias is causing even people that are on the same side to feel like they're against each other, right? It's causing people to make shit up about each other. You know what I'm saying? And it's dangerous and it's dumb. So let's get back to this MK1 gameplay. So why am I generating this video? Why am I recording this right now? Well, part of it is I want people to be aware of the effect of bias, not only in their comments and preferences for particular MK games, but I want them to be aware of the effects of bias, period. Because it ain't good to be biased, man. It's not good to be biased at all, homie. And if you are biased, or if you have bias, that was a dumbass idea I did right there. You gotta, at the very least, recognize it and try to minimize it as much as you can, you see. So I mentioned that NRS is partially to blame for this. And I stand by that. Because for those of you that don't know, Mortal Kombat 1 is it's not in a really good place right now in terms of its perception amongst MK fans and shit, fighting game fans, period. MK1 is seen as a failure. MK1 is seen as a game that messed up, like that combo I just dropped. That shit pissed me off, man. But anyway, and this shit is funny. It's always funny when people, like, they win because you fucked up, and then they do this shit. Like, dude, understand, you got hit, you should have got launched, and you would have died had I not fucked up. You only won because I fucked up. So you doing this bullshit here is ugly as fuck. But anyway, so I've lost my train of thought for a second, you know what I'm saying? But the point of what I'm getting at is NRS has had a bad habit of taking these games and overhauling them, creating them from scratch, creating new normals, creating new characters, creating new strings, creating new special moves, new versions of previous special moves. Take Sub-Zero's Ice Ball. Sub-Zero's Ice Ball was perfect in MK9. It was fast. It was fast. Straight up and down. It was fast. And was therefore very good as an anti-zoning tool. Then suddenly in MKX, the move becomes super slow, but it's still somewhat viable as an anti-zoning tool because you could catch people with it. You know what I'm saying? Then in MK11, the move got a speed buff. And now in this game, the Ice Ball is horrible. And by the way, the inputs for Ice Ball are all different. in each game. Sometimes it's down forward 1, other times it's down forward 2. In one game, I think it was down forward 3. I believe that was MKX. I might be wrong though. But it alternates between down forward 1 and down forward 2. What the fuck are you doing that for, NRS? You had a good version of the ice ball. Keep it. You had a good version of Sub-Zero that needed to be tweaked. He didn't need to be overhauled. Shit. The system of MK9 didn't need to be overhauled. And that's not bias talking. I mean, maybe there's a little bit of my side bias in there. But from my perception, virtually every person that played MK9 was having fun. Even the Shiva players. You know, there were people that played MK9 and they knew they were playing bad matchups, but they found them fun. Like Sub-Zero versus Cabal in MK9. It's a losing match for Sub, but it's a challenging match where if you win that shit, you won because you outplayed your opponent and you had the chance to outplay your opponent. And so if you did so, you felt extra brownie points because not only did you win, but you won in a manner that was super deserving. You know what I'm saying? Oh yeah, that was a good ass read right there, goddamn. Yes sir, yes sir, yes sir. Now, is it possible that were people that were dissatisfied with the way MK9 played? Yes, of course it's possible. In fact, it's probable, right? And I don't want to pretend as though that evidence doesn't exist. I'm sure that it does, right? But in comparison, there were far more people that loved the way that MK9 played, that wanted the game to get more patches, and was hoping that the next Mortal Kombat afterward would pretty much continue from where MK9 left off. When we got MKX in 2015, those players were completely disappointed because not only did we see that the game was nothing like MK9, every character was completely overhauled. Completely overhauled. So strings and combos that used to work didn't work no more. Excuse me. Oh my God, these ghetto ass dogs from these ghetto ass neighbors. Jesus. Anyway, white people can be ghetto too. But, you know, MK11 was overhaul, or sorry, MK11. MKX was an overhaul from MK9. And that didn't need to happen because now you have disaffected MK9 players that are like, what the fuck is this? I don't like this. This is not MK9. I liked MK9. I preferred what we had. Right? Yes, it was imperfect, and there were things that needed to be adjusted and changed. But that didn't necessitate an entire upheaval of everything that we liked. It didn't necessitate the need for, oh damn, I should have hit confirm. It didn't necessitate the need for a variation system that turned out not to do the thing that NRS made it to do. You know, for those of you that don't know, the variation system was designed to eliminate counterpicking in fighting games or in Mortal Kombat. We now know that fighting games are a part, or counterpicking is a part of every damn fighting game no matter what you play. And there's no way you can counteract it, even in the most balanced games. The only way you counterpicking is you make every character identical to each other. That's the only way you do it. You know? But anyway, so the game's main claim to fame didn't even work. It didn't even work the way the developers intended because there was counterpicking anyway. And by the way, that wasn't just true of MKX, it was also true of MK11. There was absolutely counterpicking in MK11. I will tell you that I absolutely counterpicked Sub-Zero players with RoboCop. Yes. I absolutely counterpicked Jade players with Shao Kahn. Not even because I think Shao Kahn wins the Jade matchup, but because Shao Kahn has the means to fuck Jade up in MK11. And I discovered that. You know what I'm saying? I absolutely counterpicked Liu Kang players with either Sub-Zero or Noob Saibot. I counterpicked Jax players with Sub-Zero. I even tried counterpicking Cetrion players with Melina or Scorpion. MK11 had fantastic balance towards the end of the game's life. I mean, there were still characters that were low tier, and they definitely needed reworks. But the vast majority of the cast was tournament viable. But even in that balanced ass game, there was counterpicking with a variation system that we could decide on. You know? But that's what I'm saying. Every time NRS overhauls a Mortal Kombat game, it splinters the community and creates groups of people that now have my side bias towards their favorite MK and against everyone else. And this is not good for our scene. This is not good for the community. It's so bad that even people that are on the same side can't distinguish it. Because even in those comments that I read, I'm on the same side as dude. I like MK11, but I'm able to acknowledge it objectively for the problems that it had, and he's not. And because I'm being objective, and he don't want to be objective, he gonna claim that me and the people like me just don't want to adapt to shit. Even though, as I noted, MK players are some of the most adaptingest ass people in the fighting game community. We are the most adaptingest ass community in fighting games. We've adapted to our games being damn 4 different versions of Mortal Kombat in 12 years. We have had MK9, we have had MKX, we have had MK11, and now we have MK1. Them 4 games are completely different than each other. Different moves, different characters, different meta, different mechanics, everything different. We ain't got no damn legacy in Mortal Kombat. That's going to be a future video, by the way. The impact of legacy. Legacy is a huge reason why Tekken 8 is so good. But I ain't going to talk about that right now. Ooh, that was accidental as shit. But we are the most adapting motherfuckers in fighting games. MK players are. And we adapt because we have to, because our game's gonna be overhauled from game to game, even though it doesn't need to. So all the good ideas from this game, it's very likely that NRS is going to drop them when the next Mortal Kombat comes out. Because of my side bias, and because NRS just feels like they have to reinvent sliced bread. You don't have to do that. You don't have to reinvent sliced bread. Sliced bread is great on its own. All you got to do is put different condiments on that bitch. You know what I'm saying? You ain't got to make a pizza replacement. You just got to put more toppings on that hoe. That's all. Use better cheese. Use better sauce. Use better crust. A more efficient oven. You know what I'm saying? You ain't got to change the recipe for pizza. You ain't got to. Especially because of no damn novice ass players that don't even know what a trip guard is and shit. Fuck that. Hell no. Don't even listen to the motherfuckers. They don't know what they talking about. Sorry, not sorry. Shit. Ooh, he was supposed to get frozen. What the fuck? Anyway. But, ooh, did I get him? Oh, I didn't have I should have spent the meter. Fuck. Anyway. But, I don't spend enough meter in this game. I realized. But that's probably not a bad problem. Because I spend it when I need it. Ooh, he knocked me out of the corner. What the fuck? Ooh, got your ass. But yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll say this. Ultimately, I'm on the side of Mortal Kombat. I want Mortal Kombat to be the very best game that it can be. And I don't give a damn what game it is. Right? I'm on that side. I'm so on the side of Mortal Kombat that even in the midst of superior fighting games, I'm sticking with MK11. Sticking with MK1. I'm not playing no damn Tekken. I ain't playing no damn Street Fighter. Because I've never played those. I have nothing against them. I've never played them. They don't interest me. Not interested in the art style. Not interested in the mechanics. Just not interested. I tried Killer Instinct once because it's the most Mortal Kombat-like game out there. Besides Mortal Kombat. And I'm like, bruh, no. I felt like I was mashing. And I felt like I wasn't trying to learn the way these mechanics and controls worked and how to perform these specials. I like the way they work at MK. You know what I'm saying? So that's my preference. But I'm not going to sit there and use that to generate evidence that MK is the superior game to Killer Instinct or Street Fighter or Tekken. I'm not going to do that because that's stupid. That's stupid as hell. And it goes against the philosophy of my channel. So, you know, one of the things that I think makes my channel distinct from other channels is that I have a commitment towards objectivity. Not to say that other channels don't, because they do. They do. But some channels exist for the, primary purpose of denigrating Mortal Kombat 1. Some people have built their YouTube careers off of talking shit about this game. And I ain't gonna even talk about the motherfuckers, because fuck them, right? Other people have made a YouTube career out of lionizing any and all Mortal Kombat games and ignoring their flaws. Right? Doing the my side bias on 10, you know what I'm saying? I ain't doing that shit neither. Because I always want to be on the right side of history. I don't give a damn what the context is. Wow. He should have won that shit. But he ain't want to do nothing stupid. I get it. But I'm not into the idea of doing either of those things. I'm not about to lionize the current Mortal Kombat game, but I'm not about to denigrate it either. I'm going to tell the whole truth about a game. Whether it's a game that's on my side or not. And it aggravates me that people are unable to do that. And in the process, they spread misinformation and propaganda. And they muddy the waters for NRS and prevent them from fixing a game that most people see is broken. Because if we're not able to be honest about, the state of our game, how can we fix it? There was this commenter during the Player One Advantage, MK1 Player One Advantage days, I ain't gonna say his name, but I'll just say that his last name is an anagram of the capital of Ohio. I think it's the capital. I might be wrong, but it's a city in Ohio, right? And his name is an anagram of that. Anyway, some of y'all know who I'm talking about. But that dude has major my side bias. Major. He came out and said that MK1 was not rushed at all. It was released in exactly the state it was supposed to be in. And I'm like, motherfucker, we have eyes. We're not even getting things that were present in MKX. But you gonna claim that the game's not rushed. What are you talking about? We see that it's rushed. We have wrong inputs for brutalities. We have glitches of characters being deformed. We still have glitches that exist as of the moment of me recording this video. Sometimes during the second round of a match, one player can move before the other one can, therefore getting to start a whole goddamn combo before the opposing player can even block or do anything. That's a major glitch, man. You mean to tell me that that was intended by NRS? They wanted to do that? They wanted to release a game that was like that? Fuck no. Stop. Stop the bullshit. As Cat Williams said, knock it off. Knock it off. You don't even make no goddamn sense. But that boy is shilling for his side, MK1. And here's the thing. I'm on the same side as him. I love MK1. I think MK1 is a fun-ass, fantastic-ass game when you play. I don't feel like I got robbed when I lose. I feel like I earned every victory and every loss through my actions or inactions, or through my opponent's actions or inactions. And there's counterplay to damn near everything. Even the strongest shit in the game has counterplay, if you bother to look for it. This game is great. It has a lot of great aspects to it. So I'm on his side. Not just because I want to be on everybody's side, because I'm not. Oh, that's your ass. I should have confirmed that in the fatal blow, motherfucker. But anyway, yeah, I'm on his side, not because I'm trying to be on everyone's side, but because I genuinely enjoy this goddamn game. I enjoy this game. Even a relative low-tier character like Sub-Zero, who's my main character, who I just got to level 35. I enjoy that character. I enjoy the game. How am I having this much fun with a low-tier character, relatively low-tier character, if I don't like the game? How is that possible? Fuck out of here, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm on the dude's team, but because he don't know how to be objective, he want to make up a bunch of horse shit about me using this game for clout and not being a real fan, and, you know, helping to destroy the scene by pointing out player one advantage, which he downplayed that too. Tried to say it was because of me using two controllers and my control inputs and shit. This motherfucker went off, man. That motherfucker was as wrong as he could be about damn near everything. Why? Because he want to shill. Because he don't know how to call a spade, and I do. Fuck out of here. You know what I'm saying? Like, dog, stop. Stop the madness. Now, why am I bringing dude up? Because he's a cautionary tale to everyone that's watching this video, anyone that's going to comment, whom I deeply appreciate, and I love y'all. I'm trying to educate you right now. Dig this. Do not allow yourself to be susceptible to my side bias or confirmation bias. Okay? Learn how to be objective. That doesn't mean be neutral. It doesn't mean don't take a stance. It means be able to accurately assess and gather evidence, not based on what you prefer, but based on what you observe. You go and you observe everything. Observe as much as possible about a thing, whether it's Mortal Kombat, about whether it's caterpillars or butterflies or anything that there is to observe and you're trying to learn about and form an opinion on. Observe everything that you can about it. I mean, it's a presidential election year. Be as observant about politics as you can be, in policy, all that shit. You know what I'm saying? And use what you observe, use what you learn, use objective facts and criteria to form your opinions on a topic. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm trying to teach y'all with this. Also, I'm trying to relay the idea that NRS needs to stop splintering this goddamn community by overhauling their game so dramatically all the time. There's nothing wrong with innovation. Mortal Kombat can do plenty of innovation, not by subtracting, strings and gameplay styles and normals and mechanics that we like, but they can overhaul the game by adding things, refining things, tweaking them. And you know how I know that they can do that? Because MK1 is a reflection of that. We got our MK9 meter system back. We got breakers back. But instead of breakers being 2 bars, they're 3. So now they're more expensive and you got to manage your meter to do it. That's a refinement. We still have super moves, the fatal blows from MK11, right? We still have that. That's like the one lone mechanic from MK11 that survived, aside from Flawless Block, right? But now, fatal blows can not only be broken out of with a full bar of meter, fatal blows can fatal blows have a pause. That's a refinement. That's another refinement of that system, And so NRS needs to do in the next Mortal Kombat much more of what they did here at MK1. Refine your shit. Maintain legacy. Okay? Stop ending shit all the time. And so, with that being said, I think I've talked enough. Thank y'all for watching. I'm going to catch y'all later. 1.